Can you repeat that?
0 to 100, what percentage of the conclusions that you hold about the world that we share do you think are accurate? Is it okay if I record?
Sure.
Okay. I need to use the restroom.
Oh yeah, I'll chill.
Can you hang out
I
for a
even
second?
thought about you when I was going to the bathroom. I'm like, how does he do that? Yeah, I'll totally sit here.
And while I'm gone, if you want to.
Write down my digits and all?
No. Write down something that is meaningful to you, something that you think is true, and maybe you can help me with an experiment. I'll have you write it down, like a truth claim, like something that you think is true about the world that we share.
Okay.
Something that you're fairly confident in.
Okay.
And if you can put it in a positive form, meaning X is true instead of X is not true.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. I'll have you write it down and then fold it up and stick it in your pocket or something.
And it's going to be blind, like, so that means you're not going to know what we're going to talk about?
We will later.
Okay.
If you want to share it later.
Sure.
But this is a way, maybe you want to talk about something that you don't want to share. This gives you that opportunity. But yeah, write it down,
Okay.
and then like I said, stick it in your pocket.
Okay. And it's going to be a statement that is true in the affirmative.
Yeah, that
with a
you're
positive
convinced
spin.
is true.
Yes. Not something that's lacking. Something that is potentially, like, I think I got it.
Okay.
If I have questions, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be right back, okay?
Sounds good. Your stuff is safe with me.
Sweet.
Yeah. Something that is true.
Getting a good one?
Apparently.
Okay.
This is like, try 3. 3 is a good luck charm. And, you know, it's another interesting thing about this Sharpie that I'm huffing is that I was seeking a Sharpie. Like, I literally, before I left my house, I was like, I need a Sharpie.
Yeah?
I need a Sharpie. So, pretty cool. Even though it's your Sharpie and I'm handing it back to you, I love that I was able to manifest a Sharpie.
How many Sharpies do you normally see a day?
None. Or maybe 1 if I'm lucky. On the hunt.
Like what are the chances, do you think, of running into somebody with a Sharpie?
Good question. I mean, like, percentage-wise?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe probably less than 50. Maybe 20%. 20% chance.
20%?
I guess it depends on where you frequent. Like, are you in an office building?
Right.
You know.
A lot of factors go into it.
It does. It's true. I mean, because in the park, we're in the park too. That's less likely that you'd run into somebody with a Sharpie in the park.
Not a typical park item.
Not really.
Right on.
Yes, I agree.
Cool. All right. So you said your name was Aleesha.
That is true.
All right. Alicia.
Aleesha.
Okay. Cool. My name's David.
Yes, David. Nice to meet you again.
Nice to meet you too.
So thankful I just ran into you in the park. That was serendipitous, I would say.
Yeah.
As I've already expressed, but that was the camera wasn't on when I was going off on my spiel earlier.
No, it wasn't.
I'm gonna get out of the sun because I feel like it's sort of. Is that a no?
Yeah.
The chair is.
How about you move the chair where you want it, and then I'll reposition
I'm
the
human.
camera.
Are you okay?
Because I'd rather you be
Comfortable?
in a comfortable spot. Yeah.
I think Aleesha's comfort is actually fairly important. I know for a fact, actually. Okay, so we're just chilling, and is there any way, like, do you have any tips about how I should sit and or, what works well?
Just whatever's comfortable for you.
Okay, I've done an interview before, and it was like during the Zoom time, and I was on one end, and they were all on the other end, and they were videotaping me. Like, I had to tape myself on my computer and then send it over to them kind of later.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
They had some tips, and I also,
I don't have any tips. The only
I
tips
love-
I have is
less tips, there's easier,
is
better.
just
Be yourself.
be yourself, be honest. Yeah.
Cool.
If you have to think about something, just think about it. You don't have to necessarily feel like you have to answer right away. Like, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
We're just basically chilling, like having a conversation.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I'll be asking questions. Like I was saying before, I'll be asking questions that help us kind of explore how you arrived at the conclusion that you've got and what supports your confidence.
Okay.
So I'll probably start off.
Am I looking at the camera?
I've got a camera facing you here
Okay.
and me here.
Okay.
And I've
Because,
got,
like, I want to look right over there at the sailboat, like, at that spot.
you can look wherever you want.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I usually forget that the cameras are even on usually.
Nice. Even better.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah, whatever you're comfortable with.
Awesome.
Okay, so couple of like just basic questions.
Mhm.
If on a scale from 0 to 100, where 0 is no confidence at all, 100 is absolute confidence, no question. If I let go of this pen, how confident are you on that scale that the pen will fall and hit the whiteboard?
From where it's got to be right there, not in your mouth.
Yeah,
right
here.
there, I would say 100%.
100?
Yeah.
Okay.
From that position, from
Yeah.
that very position, yes.
Yeah. And these aren't trick questions or anything like that. It just kind of gives me an idea of like how to gauge what 100 means to you as far as confidence goes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that means I'm pretty confident.
Yeah.
100% is pretty damn.
Like there's no question.
No. Well, not from not the angle.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you had it over here or something, yeah, the answer would be different.
Got it.
But you had it literally right over the center.
Yeah. And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I suppose now that we're having this really in-depth conversation about it, I could say 98% because there's always a chance that something else is going to happen because, I mean, what could be the thing that could happen? I don't know. Somebody could, like, come over here right as you were going to drop the pen and maybe tip your chair over, like, run into you and, like, and then we don't know. I mean, it still feels like it would fall on there, but it might go fucking flying.
Are you still at 100?
I would say under the current conditions that we know right now,
Without me doing any kind of silly trick or anything.
without any silly tricks. Again, we don't know what could happen.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm just gonna, maybe, can I have a range between 98 and 100? You're like, no.
Something between 98 and 100?
Meaning, I would say I'm obviously very, very confident, 100% pretty confident that that's exactly what's going to happen. However, I don't know what type of thing could fly out of the universe and change the conditions that are right here around us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only space where I feel like there's a little tiny bit of wiggle room for something else potentially to happen, a 2% chance.
Okay. So is 100 accurate based on that?
Under these known conditions, yes.
Okay, so you're sticking with 100 on that.
I like it that you're like drilling it in, because I'm the type of person too that I'm like, shit, I could waver a bit, you know.
Anytime you feel like you need to change or adjust your confidence in any of the conclusions that you have, feel free to do so.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay, because I remember that now that we had this discussion, that's kind of what this is about, is bending, potentially, where bending needs to happen, or could happen.
If you feel like you need to, yeah.
Yeah, if you feel like you need to.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say 98%.
98?
Yes, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Because it still feels very close to, like, that's the absolute thing that's going to happen, but I'm leaving a bit of room in case some unexpected thing happens that we don't know.
Mm-hmm. So about 98 out of 100 times, you're pretty confident that the pen will hit the whiteboard if I drop it.
I agree.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. On that same scale,
Yes.
what percentage of the conclusions that you hold about the world that we share do you think are accurate?
Can you repeat that?
0 to 100, what percentage of the conclusions that you hold about the world that we share do you think are accurate?
I feel like that one's kind of in a way like something that's constantly changing.
Currently.
In this very moment. And these are my assumptions about how I see the world, like how confident my perception is.
Conclusions, assumptions, beliefs, yeah.
So we're, just to kind of make sure that I'm clear on this, we're saying, how confident am I in my conclusions that I have made about the world?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say at least 70%. But it's really odd because before I understood the question fully, or I felt like I understood it. My answer was going to be 30%. And so those are polar opposites, which is interesting. Do you want me to elaborate?
You can if you want. I can rephrase the question too if you think that helps.
Yeah, go ahead and rephrase it.
Let's say, and this is going to take a little bit of imagination, but let's say that all of your conclusions about the world that we share are written down and are put in this can. What percentage of the things that are written down in this can do you think are accurate?
And those are things that I put in the can?
This can contains all of your beliefs, all of your conclusions that you hold about the world that we share. What percentage?
I'm going to say 70.
70?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because I feel like there's obviously always room to know more. And I feel like I'm learning and growing constantly and shifting. But I would also like to feel like 70 feels like a nice number. Like it feels like a pretty good, confident number. But it leaves a good amount of room to continue to stretch and grow and learn new things.
You're open to being wrong about stuff that you believe, sounds like.
I am.
Okay.
Indeed.
Okay. What percentage do you hope are true or accurate?
My beliefs about the world, the current system that we're living in.
Yeah, same question. It's just instead of how many are you convinced are accurate, it's how many do you hope are accurate?
This has nothing to do with my question.
Yeah,
Nope.
this is just kind of generally speaking.
Okay. I guess my number would be less. Like, meaning I wish that the things that I know about the world were different, potentially, and maybe weren't true. And so maybe I'd wish that only 30% of what I know was true.
You hope more of your conclusions are inaccurate than what you think are are accurate?
I wish they were, honestly. I do wish that a lot of the beliefs that I feel like I've come to the conclusion to were different.
His father was a father. His father's father was a father.
Different meaning
From a family of fathers.
not true though?
They're from the fatherland.
Probably.
And
His father.
what number did you give?
I
Did you
said,
say
I did
30?
say 30.
30. You hope 30% of your conclusions are accurate.
One of
Is
them
that-
was a farmer. Father farmer. Got a little trail going.
You want to do that can thing again, just to make sure that
Yeah.
I'm understanding it correctly?
Yep. Let's say all of the beliefs that you have, or all the conclusions about the world that we share that you have currently, are written down on sticky notes, and they're in this can. What percentage of this can do you hope are accurate?
I think I'm going to stick with 30.
30.
Maybe 33, because I love that number, but
Okay. 33?
yeah.
Okay.
If for some reason this becomes something that's like a flop or whatever, it doesn't matter.
This is fantastic so far.
Okay.
I really appreciate the fact that you're thinking about it and not just saying the first thing that comes to your mind. You know what I mean? Because these are, like, have you ever thought about that before?
Well, and even like why would somebody say that? Why would somebody say that they want their beliefs to be untrue?
$67 of them. 67% of them. You're saying, from what I can tell, it sounds like you're saying that you hope 67% of your conclusions are not accurate.
Or that I wish that what I have come to find through my time here on Earth, I wish it was inaccurate. But we are living in the reality that we're living in. And the reality that we have come to, that amount that we're speaking about is the knowledge that I have. That 70% that I'm confident about, there's a whole bunch of knowledge in there that I wish was not true or not known, not our reality, not what we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm understanding and tracking correctly, I think that we're technically on the same page.
Yeah, the only thing that I can think of that might be not us not being on the same page is even if it were different, would you still want that difference the way it is, or the way that it would be then? Would you still want your assessment of it to be accurate, even if it were different? Do you know what I mean?
I guess with that being said, like, knowledge is power. And so potentially, I'm thankful to have the insight and the knowledge, the 70% of it that I have. And I guess with that knowledge is the only way that change potentially can happen.
Mm-hmm. Let's pick one conclusion, and it doesn't have to be the one that you wrote down. Do you own a car?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How confident are you that it's parked where you left it?
Well, it better be. I'm like, oh, where are you, car? I'd say, again, it's that.
Like around 98%?
98, yeah.
Okay.
It's at 98 again.
Okay. Do you hope that your conclusion that your car is still parked in the same spot is true?
Well, sure. Yes.
You want that to be true.
It is, because that's stuff that feels good.
So that falls into the 33% of the conclusions that you hope are accurate.
Yes.
Okay. So you're out of 100, those are the kinds of conclusions that you hope you're accurate about. Is there something that you're comfortable sharing, a conclusion that you hold that you hope you were not accurate about?
That healthcare isn't all about money or big pharma benefiting off of the backs of people that have become ill based on the system that has been created through layers and layers of conditioning and agendas and marketing and brainwashing.
Maybe we can simplify that just for this kind of experiment that we're doing.
Love it.
Big pharma is based on money. Let's say that that's true.
Okay.
If it was not true, would you want to know that? Would you want your assessment about it to be accurate?
I do want my assessments to be accurate.
What percentage of your assessments do you want to be?
Would
you prefer to be accurate?
I want my perceptions to be 100% accurate. I want my perceptions to be insightful. I want them to be knowledgeable and informed. Yes. So
Okay.
maybe I was doing some ADHD thing or missing the mark ultimately, because I think what's happening is, for me, kind of, I'm like, okay, there's certain things that I wish were not true, but that doesn't necessarily mean that obviously I don't want to be incorrect in my assessment of those things.
Okay.
So that makes more sense. So potentially I was reading the question wrong.
And I don't want you to feel like that's your fault. I put the burden of you understanding my questions on me. So I feel like if we took all of your conclusions and we went through them one by one,
Yes.
would you want your assessment about this to be accurate? I suspect that there would be more than 33% of that, and it sounds like you're saying that now too.
I agree, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm on board now. Now I'm on board. Yes, I want my assessments of things to be accurate, because that means that I'm able to guide my decisions based on my accurate, well-informed, seeking and finding, researching, that kind of, like, that knowledge. I want that knowledge to be true.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And at the same time, there are some things that you're convinced about you would prefer it be different.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so where would that number be now? Now that we've kind of
Figured it out.
Yeah.
So now that we know that we, I mean, I suppose most people would want their knowledge to be 100% accurate, but I also know that that's also ridiculous. Nobody's knowledge is 100% accurate.
it's about your preference though.
Okay,
What you hope.
then I'll say I also like room for growth. So I don't really want to say 100% because that means there's no room for growth. Finding new things. So I mean, I guess like maybe, I don't know, 85%? Like that seems like I mean, at least my 70%. Does that seem like some fucking crazy shit, dude? I'm like, well, I didn't know what I was signing up for. Shit, I'm getting in David's chair. Anybody else want to do this? Fun. Shit's fun. Get over here in the hot seat. Yay! That's so funny. All right, I like it. Okay, how are we doing?
Good.
So I
You
need
want
to
to come back to that or think about it more?
I think it's just more of I just need to give you an answer about my desire of what I want, my knowledge. I want my knowledge to be accurate. What percentage of that do I want to be accurate? I still want to have some wiggle room, so I'm going to stick with my 85%.
85?
Yes. I'm also not much of a numbers person. Even that's kind of interesting, right?
I'm not either.
What the fuck are you doing then?
Good question. So you hope 85% of your conclusions are accurate. Does that mean that you hope 15% are not accurate?
No. This is so mind fuckery that you're doing here. Let's go have a beer.
I'm down with that.
Shit.
I'm down with that. Can I have a beer?
Oh. I have to remind myself of a conversation that I had with my husband yesterday, which is I have to put all these types of things that could potentially be construed as something else on hold, even though I'm very good at it. It's fun. I like to interact with people. However, we are going to continue that conversation, my husband and I, which means that maybe we can have a beer at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm learning how to...
Maybe these are questions you can ask him.
Right? Let's play with his brain. He'd be interesting to have... he'd probably really... Everyone's so different, right? Some people just like... It's because I'm an overthinker. If you couldn't tell. Overthinker. Overly analytical. Alright, let's do it. Let's hash it out.
You want another question?
Yeah.
Okay. On that same scale, what percentage of the conclusions that our community makes would you hope are accurate?
I guess 100%. Maybe I'm making it too hard. I mean, I'd like our community to make accurate decisions 100% of the time.
100, but you're 85?
I would like to make accurate decisions 100% of the time, too. I guess if that's the way, maybe I'm reading more into it again than is needed. I'd like to be accurate. I just also want to say that I know that there's space for wiggle room. Yes, I'd like to be accurate. Sure, I'd like to be accurate 100% of the time, but that doesn't mean that I'm not willing to back down to 85% and say, okay, there's room for me to change my stance, because obviously there's always knowledge that we don't know. So that's where that comes from.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to sound closed-minded.
No, I'm not.
Is what it kind of sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes good sense.
Could somebody hope that all of their conclusions be accurate with the understanding that they probably aren't and still be open-minded?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Are you still 85 then?
So, 100% accuracy, and you still are open-minded with room for growth. Yes, then I'll go with 100%.
Okay. Isn't this fun?
Well, kinda.
You can stop anytime.
Thank you. I want to be a famous YouTuber like you, dude. Shit. I'm like, is this what it's gonna fucking take? I'm like, okay, let's play some more. That's funny. Oh, he didn't see. He turned away too quick.
Okay.
He did not receive my nicety.
Here's where your conclusion that you wrote down will come in.
Okay. Here we are.
Yeah.
I should read it again to remind myself. Just kidding.
You're welcome to.
What was that I wrote half an hour ago? Shit. And it's fucking like philosophical and shit too. It's not like cut and dry like all this stuff.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. It's not like just like, is your car parked over there? How convinced are you?
Uh-huh.
But it's good to have these simple explanations because, you know, we need to understand. And I do appreciate the fact that you were able to throw down, you know, okay, there's some clarity there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. I've got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Back to our scale, our confidence scale.
Yes, sir.
How confident are you that that is true? What you wrote down?
70%.
70?
Yeah. I'm going to play this game intuitively now. I'm not going to think about it so much.
You'd rather not think about it?
I know you just told me that you appreciated that. I'm going to do it more intuitively. I'm going to just, like, instead of dissecting it, unless I feel like I need to, I'm just going to throw it out there. What the number comes to my head first. That's intuitive. I like all these people with their exercise and all that jazz.
I know.
Man, the lake is smoky.
I know.
Whoa.
It's been kind of smoky lately.
It's
last couple
insane.
of
Like
days.
for weeks. Feels like. I said to somebody yesterday that it was smoky. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, it's been smoky for weeks. He's like, really? I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it kind of comes and goes. And I think it has a lot to do with how high you are in elevation. Like,
Level of consciousness high?
I mean, like,
Just kidding.
yeah.
That too.
Like in the mountains, it doesn't seem to be as smoky, but down here in sea level, it seems to be.
Well, and it makes sense. You know, there's also smoggy and, oh, who knows? We don't want to talk about that nasty.
All right. So your conclusion, are you able to share the main reason that supports your 70% confidence that your conclusion is true without revealing what the conclusion is? Do you think?
I think so.
Okay.
Um,
You're free to share that main reason. So this is the reason that if you found out was not a good reason, would cause your confidence to drop the most.
Say that again?
This reason, the main reason that supports your confidence, it's the reason that if you decided to your own satisfaction that it was not a good reason, would cause your confidence to drop the most.
What do you mean by reason?
If you, let's take your car being parked over there, the main reason why you think it's still there is,
the reason.
what would that be?
Because it generally is there. I mean, it's always been there.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no reason, I have very minimal reason to think that my car would not be there. I also have the key and I'm also OCD, so I made sure I locked it.
Okay.
Yes.
You've got the key, it's locked. Okay, so that would be a reason.
Yes, okay.
For
So
thinking that it's still there.
Gotcha. So now translating over to my reason of why I think the way I think, my percentage number about this thing in my pocket.
Mm-hmm. What
So
supports it the most?
The support, well, it's based, mine personally, it is based on personal experience. And I suppose it's not to say, obviously, I mean, everyone is individual and everyone has their own personal experience. I suppose that mine does come from my own personal experience from being one way and witnessing in myself a change that felt impossible or close to not impossible, but unlikely, or something that was extremely challenging and less likely that I was going to be able to make a shift from here to here. And so I've also seen that in testimonials of other people And so my reason would be my own personal testimony and the testimony of others.
Okay.
And the movement, I suppose, of collective mindset that I have been witnessing. Again, I think it also comes back to what we're focused on and what we see. Also colors our belief system. And so my reason for thinking this way,
For thinking that what you wrote down is true.
yes,
Okay.
is because of the lens that I see through.
Okay. So like personal experience, personal perspective, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Personal experience, personal perspective.
Okay. And your personal testimony.
In addition to witnessing
Yeah.
the testimony of others.
Okay. The personal experience would be what supports this the most.
Yes. And what is that down there?
70.
And it's 70% of that I am certain that what I know is correct.
That you wrote down. That specific conclusion.
Okay.
You're
And
still at 70?
I'm just making sure that I am. And I think it's because, again, it's that realizing that there is a space for, it's honestly, it's being optimistic. My 70 is optimistic. And it's also with the knowledge that people are all seeing through their own lens. And that society is seeing through a lens as a collective. And that a lot would need to change in order for my little bit here to come to fruition. So,
Is it a prediction?
I'm a psychic. It's not a prediction.
It's something that you think is true.
I do. I know. What if we're going down this rabbit hole without even, like, maybe my question is not...
Is it a question?
It's not a question. It's a statement.
Okay.
Sorry.
I think we're fine.
Okay, we're good.
I think we're fine.
Okay.
And like I said, if at any time you want to change it from 70 to something else,
Okay.
just let me know.
I will. I'll keep that in mind.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Why is personal experience a sufficient enough reason to be 70% confident in something?
I think it again kind of comes down to a person's belief system. Because, I mean, no, there's no, like, scientific proof. And we're talking in numbers, which gets tricky. Because numbers are measurable and scientific. And what we're talking about with this specific thing, and probably anybody else's thing, we can't measure. We really can't measure. So we're just kind of doing the best we can within the kind of the parameters that you've set. So personal experience and it really is not. Like, personal experience is really not enough to guarantee or to make me feel confident at 70%. Because there's so many other variables. Maybe it's more of an optimistic standpoint or
Meaning
viewpoint.
that you hope it's true?
Yeah, I hope it's true. And if I were hoping it was true, I would be hoping that it was 100% true. But I know that there's a lot of room for falter because it's been evident. It's evident in what we have created here.
Am I correct in understanding that you're 70% confident in something that we cannot measure?
Sounds ridiculous. So was supposed to come up with a measurable reason, a measurable statement?
No, I never said anything about that. You did fine. You did fine. I'm just curious, like,
I am too.
you're 70% confident in something we can't measure.
Well, because we can't measure it. So I guess I feel like there personal experience is never accurate. When we're talking about I'm talking about something that's a collective thing. Collective. So my personal experience is not enough to dictate potentially what will happen. So I think that might be where I'm getting into a pickle because
But this isn't, you said this is not a prediction. This is not something that you think is going to happen. This is something that you think is true, right?
I guess when you phrase it that way, maybe it does feel a little bit like a prediction,
Okay.
but it also feels like something that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's both. It's my hope.
Okay. You think it's true and you hope it's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. And the
Would
reason I'm 70% confident is because humans are very, they're fallible, and they are conditioned, and they're programmed, and they're asleep. And
humans are good at making mistakes? Would that be? Is that kind of what you're saying?
yeah, I mean, you could add that to the list.
Okay.
Humans are good at making mistakes.
Okay.
We've made some pretty big ones.
Would you prefer that we could measure this?
I don't think that there is really any way to measure this.
Would you prefer that we could?
Well, I guess maybe just, I mean, if we had taken the numbers out of it completely, then I probably wouldn't keep getting hung up on the numbers. If we were just having a conversation and taken that part out completely, I probably wouldn't be getting hiccups all over the place.
We don't have to think about numbers anymore.
Okay. We could just have a conversation, but I don't know, because you're...
The rest of my interview questions
Yeah.
don't really have anything to do with numbers. Is that does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
It helps a lot.
Okay. Cool.
Because I feel like it's trying to like nail me into something.
Yeah, and that's not the intent. The intent is kind of like measuring. If do you think something is more likely accurate if we could measure it?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where the numbers come in. It kind of helps us both kind of gauge where you're at.
It makes good sense, and I can see why, because if you're asking somebody how confident they are, I mean, what other gauge would you use? So I can see why you're using the scale. And I'm curious if there is another way. Or you obviously have interviewed a lot of people, so, I mean, is it generally easier? Meaning, I'm not going to take it in any weird way. But is it generally like they've moved way beyond this, and again, it comes back to the fact that everyone's an individual, and they all have their very specific mind patterns, and mine just might be getting hooked on something there.
It's all over the map. What happens a lot of times is I don't form the questions clear enough, and that's why they might sound kind of robotic. It's because I've been trying to, hone them into a way that's the most clear, concise, and over time, it's gotten just a little bit easier to phrase the questions.
Sure.
And sometimes that can be a little bit challenging.
Well, and for somebody that's very over analytical, and so my mind will go in multiple directions.
Yeah.
So it's not just like this real cut and dry thing for me. I'm like, well, it depends.
Yeah.
On a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. That's totally cool. Sometimes people will answer the question they think I'm asking, and it's a different question. Sometimes people will answer a question that they want me to ask. Sometimes they don't answer the question at all. And that's not necessarily their fault. I put the burden of them understanding my questions on me.
Learning process, all of it, right? For all of us, constantly.
Totally.
Every single interaction that we have is obviously meant to,
Yeah.
move us and shift us and make us think. And
I learn something new with each interview.
yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
Okay.
All right.
So, all right. How much does this reason, personal experience, affect your confidence? You can put a number on that if you want. You don't have to
Okay.
use numbers. You can
Okay.
say a lot, not much,
All right.
half.
So I would say that my personal experience has created a sense in me that feels highly confident.
Okay. Okay. So that's a big reason. That's your biggest reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Is there a way that we can test your conclusion to see if it's true or not true?
There's no way to test.
There's no way to test it.
No.
Okay. No way to test it. What would... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say maybe, I mean, like future tense, but there's no way currently that we can test it.
Okay. Okay. It's potentially testable in the future.
Yes.
Okay. What would cause your confidence to go up?
I think still somewhat subjective though. Like even though I say that we could test it in the future, there's still like room for like subjectivity. What would create what would
raise your confidence?
Seeing more and more people, witnessing, like connecting with and hearing more testimonials from other people, and tapping into more of what is validating to what's on this piece of paper.
More examples of people experiencing this.
Yes.
That would cause you to raise your confidence. More personal experiences?
More personal experience, like on a personal level, but also on a bigger scale, like and like the systems, like the hierarchy, the organizational structure that we are living in. If we were to start seeing big changes in that were evident to the naked eye,
that you can connect to that.
Yeah, that would be more evidence. That would increase my confidence as well.
Okay. What would lower your confidence?
If I guess didn't tap into seeing those things that I'm saying that would be validating, more of the same instead of seeing evidence of change and shift. And again, I think it comes back to what I was saying earlier about what we focus on, because some of this comes down to optimism and some of it comes down to pessimism.
Okay.
And there, obviously, we all have, it's like a pendulum, that swings. And like for me, I want it to be 70%, that nice 70% number that's bigger than the 30% number. But the reason is because I want to be more of an optimist, but I'm also, a realist based on what I see around me. And
you're an optimistic realist?
Yeah, that
okay.
Sounds pretty cool. That's what we'll call me.
Okay, is there a way to tell if this was not true? If this wasn't true, is there a way to tell?
Again, I think it would be kind of more of a future tense. I think we are going to have to wait to see how things progress. And you said false, right? You said, is there a way that... Can you say it again?
Yeah. If you were mistaken about this, do you have a way to know currently?
Not really, because again, it's more of a communal type of thing, and again, it feels more like there's no way to measure how the depth, like how big this type of thing is, and it's obviously fairly abstract. It feels like.
Okay. Can being optimistic about a conclusion have any effect on it being true?
Yes. Because if I was not optimistic, I'd probably either be neutral or pessimistic. And
How does that affect it being true or not true, though? How does how you feel about it affect whether it's true or not true? I guess that's my question.
because in order for this to become true, more true, is it only my personal feeling? My personal feeling?
Well, you mentioned optimism.
Yep.
Um,
Oh, I can't move.
we're almost done.
Okay.
How does being optimistic about a conclusion affect whether it's true? That was what I was curious about, because you had mentioned optimism being kind of a big part of it, right?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you. This specific thing requires optimism, because if people are not in the right mindset, then it's for sure not going to be true. They have to be in a space of a certain mindset in order for it to manifest.
Okay. If you were pessimistic about your car not being parked or being parked where you left it, how does that change whether your car is actually parked there?
So, I'm not saying that for sure it's going to have a direct, but energetically speaking, if you put wonky vibration, if you are ruminating, let's say you're ruminating, let's not say that you just think it once, but you're literally like obsessed about the fact that your car might not be there. The likelihood is higher that your car will not be there if you ruminate on the fact that you're freaked out that your car's not going to be there, because vibrationally you're sending out a frequency, a signal to the universe about your car not being there. My fucking car better be there, yo, because we keep using that, and it is, I can see it. But the fact that we have tapped on my car so much, I am going to put a protective ring around it, and it will continue to always be where I want it to be. So that's the kind of girl that I am, is the type of person that believes in frequency and energy and vibration, and that what you put out is what you get back. Not every single time, but often. Which is why when I encountered you and was so energetic and like really like fun, it's because I believe in synchronicity, and I believe in serendipity, and I believe that everything is divinely placed and divinely timed. And the more that you are in alignment, the more of those things will come to you, because you are in a flow. You're vibrationally putting out that energy, and it's coming back to you.
Is that something that we can measure, test, or tell if you're wrong about?
That probably is something that you can test, actually.
What would be a good test for that?
Considering I've never tested it myself, and it's not something that I'm look into potentially like quantum physics, um, a law of attraction, um, vibration, energetics, flow, and like diving into the science of that could potentially lead to how people do measure things of this nature.
You have not personally tested the law of attraction. Would that be accurate?
No, I do test the law of attraction. I got a marker today, a Sharpie, after I asked for it. I also got 2 photographers. I got you and Michael DeLorne that I called in and asked for. So it is something that I do test.
Okay. What would be a failure component of that test? How would you know if it failed?
I don't know if it's necessarily like a specific, here I am with a fail necessarily, but like, I guess if we were measuring it like that, like, I wouldn't manifest the thing.
Okay. Okay. Could we test that right now?
It's not fast like that, even though it can be very fast. For example, like yesterday, the thought about, or maybe like 3 weeks ago, or maybe like 3 months ago, I was thinking about this person, Michael DeLorne, the photographer. He just kind of caught my attention, and I was like, put it in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, that's something that I want to potentially, I should. It's more of that I should reach out to that person. But very fast manifestation was me specifically just putting it into action and deciding to say, oh, I'm going to reach out to him, which oftentimes, for whatever reason, we're held back from doing something. We're held back from following the next breadcrumb in our pathway. Like I said, I mean, I thought about this. No one's just using this as an example. There's lots of them. But, like, I could have reached out to him 3 months ago, but I didn't. And I reached out to him today. And it was a very quick manifestation because it was spot on communication between the two of us. It was very clear and concise. And we were able to meet here today, this afternoon. I mean, some people might just say, like you said, a coincidence. That's what you called it earlier when you said, oh, what a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
Other people would call that a manifestation, which is you put that out to the universe, you asked for it, and it came to you quickly.
This is the idea law of attraction, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
Also,
if you hadn't hooked up with the photographer today,
yep.
like if he didn't respond or
Yep.
whatever, would that mean that the law of attraction is not true?
No, it just means that it hasn't happened yet. So I
Okay.
was giving an example of a fast manifestation. I'll give you another example. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with my husband on the telephone. He's in India right now. And he has a friend who was a neighborhood. My husband grew up there. He took my kids there for the first time. They're 8. I have twins.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's quite an adventure for them, huh?
It is quite an adventure. Yeah, that could be a whole nother like topic, right?
Yeah.
So we were having this really like hammered in, like really in-depth conversation. Like we're just like grinding out cool shit, you know, all the stuff that's like happening to me, like really fast, interesting, like intricate, like communications with people and stuff, and him too. And so he told me that he connected with this neighborhood guy who's a videographer who also he makes music videos, and we've thought about him a number of times. My husband has thought about him a number of times over the years and thought we should hook up with him. We should connect with him. But he lives in India. We live in America. You know, these things that we put in these limiting beliefs, these limiting conditions where we're like, well, we can't because of this or that or whatever. That dinner needs to be made. We get diverted and we don't go there. But how many times do you maybe have the same idea over and over? It keeps coming back to you until you finally act on it. So the things that are meant for us, they continue to come into our consciousness, because those are the things that are calling to us. Those are the things that are meant for us. We just either don't remember or, we let life get in the way and we don't follow through with that thing. So anyway, yesterday we're having this phone conversation, and he's talking about this guy who's a good friend he grew up with that, I mean, he makes amazing videos. And he's like, we were talking about maybe potentially, and again, this has also been a theme for us over the years. Oh, we should figure out how to do YouTube videos. We should do a YouTube channel for our kids or whatnot. And I'm like, okay, cool, dude. Like, here it is, like YouTube topic. It's coming, pinging again. It's been a multiple things, right? Multiple times. So then I come here today because I'm following my flow, right? I finally decided that I'm going to like reach out to Michael DeLorme because I want to do photography and I want to reach out and stretch and do things that the universe has been talking to me and saying to me for years. These are your things. These are your gifts. This is what you need to be doing. And I've struggled because of a multitude of things, as we all do. So, but when you follow your flow, when you fall into your flow, things quickly start to line up.
When you take actions, you mean?
You need to take action, but you also need to have faith and surrender too, because you don't know what the next thing is. I didn't know that I was going to come here and run into you. And what's the synchronicity? The synchronicity is that I was literally talking to my husband yesterday and we were putting out all this information, all this vibration, all this energy, all this flow. And one of those very specific themes was about a YouTube channel, doing YouTube. And I come here to the park to meet dude for photography. And you're a byproduct. And you are specifically a YouTube dude. So to me, that's an example of fast manifestation.
Okay. And if I wasn't here, it's just that it hadn't happened yet. And you would just have to wait longer.
As long as I continued to be in the flow and not to get okay, this is where shit gets weird, is when we let our mental mind take over again. We have to use our mental mind, but we also have to follow. We have to follow the clues. We have to, when you're told to go somewhere or when you're told to like connect with somebody, it's because you're supposed to. You're meant to have that interaction with that person. They have some piece for you of your puzzle, of your story, of your path. And when we let life get in the way, the conditions of pain or sickness or I'm not good enough or I don't have enough. I don't have enough confidence. I don't have enough money. How am I going to do this? I don't know. I can't do that. As soon as that comes in and takes over your flow, then no, you're never going to hook up with the YouTube guy.
But as long as you are optimistic and you're taking actions like walking around town, that increases the likelihood that you'll run into a YouTuber.
There's also definitely a piece about there's a piece about intention, and also listening to your intuition, like listening to those clues, the things that keep pinging for you, which is like, for me, it's photography, it's writing, it's potentially blogging, it's sharing my gifts of love and connection with other people. It's doing the things that I know I'm meant to do, and to stop blocking them. Which is what I would say. There's lots of examples of people that are like busting out and doing their thing, but I would say that the huge, vast majorities of people are, we're all conditioned. Which means that there's layers and layers and layers and layers of stuff that get in the way of us really honestly going inside and listening and hearing and feeling what is calling to us and what we are calling for.
Far out. Do you want to
Nice.
reveal what the conclusion is?
Sure, I sure will.
Okay.
After all that fun stuff. All right. So what I wrote on this page, this little piece of paper here with the Sharpie that was manifested by me. See, that's it too. It's like simple stuff is like you can just easily find shit like that, like rubber bands, Sharpies.
If you look for manifestations, you'll find them.
Everywhere. Yeah, you will. Like validation numbers, like things that feel good for you. Once you validate that and you're like, that's my thing, the universe will throw more and more and more at you. That way you know that you're in alignment and it's listening. And this is the co-creation. You are getting validation of the things that feel good for you. And when you're getting more and more of that validation, that, it just feeds that more inside of you. You're like, okay, cool, yep, it's happening. More magic. Magic is happening everywhere around me. And more comes to you. And when you're in that flow state, things happen. You feel amazing because you're so energetically in alignment. And you really feel, I mean, you can feel it. You're literally connected with something that's massive, right? Like universal energy, massive stuff. So, I mean, who wouldn't get excited about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I was convinced that I could manifest things,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be pretty exciting.
Heck yeah. All right, here it is, friend. So I wrote, we humans are all capable of healing ourselves, and thus each other and the planet.
Okay. We're all capable of healing.
Yeah,
those
I wrote,
things.
yeah, I mean, ultimately, I wrote, we humans are all capable of healing ourselves, and thus each other and the planet.
Okay. And this is something that you're 70% confident is true, right?
Hmm. But of course, I'd like to be 100% confident. I'd like to be.
If it's true, you want your conclusion about it to be accurate, right?
I do. I definitely want my conclusion about it to be accurate.
Okay.
I'd love that. I mean, that would be like, bliss.
And if it was not true, would you want to know?
That's an interesting one, too. If it's not true, would I want to know? I don't think so. Because that's like going down a real shitty, dark corridor. Like, I mean, I want to believe that it's true. Otherwise, like, it's a pretty, like, potentially helpless, icky situation. If we can't heal ourselves, each other, and the planet, no, I don't think I'd want to know that.
You'd rather hold a conclusion about it that's inaccurate.
This is that, like, kind of twisty part again. So I'm going to try to word it in a way that feels like, okay, I think we're on the same page.
Uh-huh.
So,
if it wasn't true, you'd want to believe it anyway.
yeah. If it wasn't true, I'd want to believe it anyway. Because that comes back full circle to what I'm saying. It has to be about faith, too. Like, it has to be about believing. You have to have those types of feelings in order to be in alignment. In order to manifest, you have to be in a flow state. And if you are in a state where you are basically, I mean, if what I believe was not true, then it would take me to a spot, and of course I've been there, really, that spot about personal testimony, yeah, that's all the dark shit over there. That's the icky stuff that doesn't feel good. And no, I don't want to believe in that anymore. I don't want to believe that it's not going to happen. Because if I didn't believe that, then that would be hopeless.
Is feeling good and having hope more important to you than having accurate conclusions about the world?
I think so.
Okay. Thanks so much for letting me interview you. That was great.
Is feeling good, you're welcome. Is feeling good and having hope more important to you than being accurate? I would say so, yeah. I'd say it's so. In order to be, like, at peace in my own body, it means that I have to feel good and have hope. And I've lived so much in the other space that it's a fucking miserable life. Fucking miserable to think that we aren't going to be able to do those things. That it's fucking hopeless. Like, that takes me to a spot that is yuck. Like, the yuckiest of yuck. And I'm, like, when I'm in that space, I'm sick. So fucking sick. And the way that I interact with myself and with my family, and even in the, fuck that. Like, no. I don't ever want to go back there. That's ick.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I do. Do you think you could chill for a minute while I use the restroom?
Yeah.
Or is it like...
Yeah, are you good on time then?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I need to switch my battery, so that's perfect timing.
Okay. Yeah, my questions would kind of be more for just like... I don't think it needs to be on. Or if you want.
This is up to you. If you if you don't want your questions to be recorded, I can stop the cameras.
Oh, I don't mind that. I think it was just going to be more like kind of conversation about like, well, who are you? How'd you get started? What's your deal? Like, not necessarily this.
Are
But
you cool with what's happened so far to go on YouTube?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I assume you're going to edit it, and it's not going to be all like.
It's all long form.
Really?
I don't cut stuff out.
Okay.
Sometimes what I do is I'll take a chunk that I think is interesting and put that at the beginning to let the viewers kind of get an idea of what the conversation is going to be like.
But don't you think it was weird, like at the beginning, where we were like all choppy and like trying to figure it out? But hey, you do you, man. If that's how you do it.
Yeah, I mean that's that's the part that I kind of like the most.
Yeah, not editing it, right? Like not chopping out people's realness.
Right.
Okay, cool. I'll be right back.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
there was one dismissing people. Trying to find out where that was at. David,
Hey, Nathan.
how's it going?
Not too bad. I'm doing an interview right now. They just went to the bathroom.
Oh, no worries. Enjoy beauty of a day.
Yeah, enjoy the day.
Too.
Yeah, we're still rolling. We're still rolling, yeah. It's all good though.
The craziest thing has happened. Crazy, not crazy. I encountered a fellow on the other side and had an interaction with him, and we ended up with a hug and a fist bump.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then just now, dude just automatically offered a fist bump, like, right away. And so that's kind of the stuff, too, that, like, I believe is synchronistic. Because I haven't given anybody a fist bump, I don't know, maybe the other day. But the fact that I literally gave somebody a fist bump, like...
And we did earlier.
Oh, look at us. Oh, so maybe it's all about... So I forgot, I'm so sorry. We have... See, it's all about the fist bump today.
Today's fist bump day.
Today is fist bump day.
It's like Wednesday's hump day.
Right.
Thursday's fist bump day.
Yeah.
And do you know Barbara?
No.
She's awesome. She's cool.
She does seem very cool. And then this gentleman right here, he offered me a fist bump literally right after I was fist bumping over there. And it's just, I don't know, to me it's more validation that the universe is like, dude, you're on spot, yo. You're getting fist bumps everywhere you go.
What would be the opposite of validation, whatever that is?
Like he even said, I love meeting people like you.
What would be an example of not validation?
For me, I know that I like, for me personally, I'll go through periods of time when I have no synchronicities, or very, very few. And it's because I'm not in alignment. And for me, what that means is that I'm focusing on things that don't feel good, internally. And so I kind of get bumped off my track. And it's very interesting. So for me, like, I guess personally as an experiment, I guess if we were talking about it in those terms, I know that I'm on spot because I'm feeling good and I'm getting pretty regular validation from the universe. I mean, how often do you just have somebody literally just randomly, like, out of the blue, just within like 5 seconds of meeting them, say, I love meeting people like you?
That happens pretty often, actually.
Cool for you, dude. So you're probably on spot.
I
You're
mean,
you're in your flow.
I'm also talking to very many people every day. Um, I'm kind of a, friendly-ish person. I've got the sign. I've got dog treats. I mean, there's
Oh
lots of
yeah.
reasons for
So
that to
yeah, for
happen.
you. Yeah, so that wasn't necessarily the greatest example for you. I guess for me it's just more validation that I'm in the flow because it feels good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Um, I would love to have a second and maybe a third conversation with you, like
Sweet.
interview or whatever.
Cool.
And we can kind of touch on kind of some of the things that we've been talking about
Uh-huh.
in the last 15 minutes or whatever.
15, like more like, did you say 50?
15.
No,
Like,
dude, this has probably been like a long ass interview.
and it's all good. Sometimes that's what happens sometimes whenever I let somebody kind of whenever I want to hear them out. You know.
When you want to hear them out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And give them the space to kind of explore stuff.
Yeah.
You said you had some questions for me though?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know if it's like it's probably interview worthy, but I mean, it's kind of more like logistically, sort of just like, so hey, who are you? Like, what do you do? Like, how did you end up doing what you're doing? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, what's it all about? Do you enjoy it? Like, just kind of more of like lifestyle kind of stuff.
Yeah. I like connecting with my community. I like being outside and I don't like to argue.
Yeah.
So and I like, being kind of in a cool spot. I've always enjoyed like scenic photography and videography and stuff. So this kind of checks a lot of those boxes for me.
Sure does.
Um, I also think it's important for my community to have a good grasp on how they form beliefs and how they arrive at conclusions, because I'm convinced that beliefs inform behavior,
Mm-hmm.
and that affects the rest of us.
Yes.
I believe that beliefs inform how people vote,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think our community can make better decisions if they know how to evaluate the sufficiency of the reasons that they're using to support a certain level of confidence that they have in beliefs that they're walking around with.
Yeah.
And so this kind of helps make a space
Uh-huh.
for the folks in my community to explore stuff that they may not have ever explored before.
So, do you think that, like, I mean, that was really vague, like when you just kind of give somebody like complete like free reign with, I mean, pretty like open parameters, just like kind of write down something that you believe is true,
Mhm.
that you're confident about. But like, it obviously means that, I mean, that you could get anything. I mean, look how far out. I mean, mine was like global. And if it's specifically about community and community topics, I mean, I could have talked to you about, like, I believe that Thurston County can do better with their recycling program. And that would have been way more, like, probably manageable, like.
Well, the beauty of it is it's not really what the belief is.
Mhm.
It's how do you know it's true, and how did you figure out that the ways of knowing that it's true are good ways of knowing things to be true?
Yeah.
And that's why I had you write it down, and I don't know it,
Uh-huh.
because it's about the epistemology.
Ooh, I haven't heard that word.
So epistemology is the theory of knowledge, the study of
Alright.
knowledge, how we come to know things.
Yeah.
And so, if you look on my YouTube channel, you'll see a ferry boat.
Uh-huh.
And that ferry boat is an analogy of epistemology in my own expression. Because a ferry boat is a method of arriving at a destination. And epistemology is a method of arriving at a conclusion. And I'm interested in the soundness
Uh-huh.
of people's ferry boats.
Yeah. I think it's a very wise thing to honestly explore, because it obviously allows people to have the opportunity to think about how they do come to their conclusions. And obviously to witness that even in themselves, like well, how flexible am I, in order to move if I needed to in my thought patterns. And honestly, we all need to be flexible in our ability to move our thought patterns, because there's always more to know about a scenario. And it's when we get locked in to a belief system that is extremely detrimental to us all. Yeah. Well, cool for, deciding to jump out and do something like this. Nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice, yeah, nice work.
Thanks.
Was it brave? I mean, did you have to get brave? Or did you already kind of like, yeah, I got this?
This is totally outside of my historical comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of helped me with my kind of social anxieties.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't have guessed, which is, like such a true testament.
Yeah.
To exactly the flip side. Like, once we decide to, like, just bust out of our, conditioned thinking, yet again, it's those layers that we were talking about why I can't do this, or why, that doesn't, whatever excuse it is that we decide just to lay on top of whatever potential we have. And that's what keeps people. And most people, I bet you almost every single person that you talk to would say to you, if you ask them, do you have something that you've wanted to pursue that you have not, that you don't, for whatever reason? I bet you, I'd say on our scale there, I'd say like 99% of the people, probably every single person, would probably tell you that they have untapped potential, or that there's something that they wish they would have done or could do, and that they don't. And that's the spot. There is another spot for exploration.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Or goals. You can use it with goals.
Yeah. Yeah. Goals fit into that same kind of category about, like, well, why don't we do the things that, are calling to us, that are meant for us, probably.
What would cause you, like a question could be, what would cause you to work on that goal more?
Yeah. Or what do you think? Yeah, what... I mean, I guess it's important for me to, like, what gets in the way, first off, because, like, to me, I've always been a root cause person. Like, I have to kind of, I had to dissect myself, about why I was acting the way I was acting, why I was thinking the way I was thinking, why I felt the way I felt. Like, I had to start there. But I'm sure that there's obviously, everybody kind of comes to their, hope not everybody, if you're lucky enough to do enough work to get to the spot where you have like self-realization,
Mm-hmm.
to realize, or to see in yourself.
I think you tapped into a good question. Like, you could ask, if you're doing this with somebody about a goal that they have, X goal, have them explore what the main barrier is to achieving that goal.
Yeah.
What's the barrier that, if that barrier was not there,
Yeah.
would cause you to more likely achieve the goal that you want to achieve?
Yeah, because that's actually what ends up, like, that is it's the self-realization part. It's, instead of saying to them what would make it so you can do the thing, it's actually what is preventing you from doing the thing. Because those things that are preventing us, that's all of our garbage. Those are the things that we tend to probably not look at, because we don't want to, because they hurt, they're painful. It's the stuff in ourselves that we hide away. It's the trauma, it's the pain, it's the suffering, it's the conditioning, it's the stuff that doesn't make us feel good. Those are the things that we don't generally want to look at. But it's really, honestly, for me personally, it was honestly, I had to seek, I had to get deep. And I mean, I was on this path for, probably as long as I know. But I started actively seeking wellness, healing, when I was about 20, and I'm 44. And I just recently, and of course there's been progressions, over the years. It's obviously been kind of a stepwise type of thing. But any improvements that I would make were always, kind of pendulum, complemented with, or on the flip side, deep, 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 dark depression. But it's...
And you feel like focusing on what's preventing you from overcoming that kind of thing is a better question to ask than what would make it
I
easier to overcome that
I
kind of thing?
think that eventually you of course they're going to use that strategy eventually, like, or maybe even sprinkling in it at the same time, but I don't think that we can ignore the pain stuff. Those are the habits, and those habits and behaviors and beliefs are there because of what? How did they get there?
Mm-hmm.
What created that belief? Why do you believe that about yourself? Why are you having that self-talk? Why are you why do you believe that you're not good enough? Why do you believe that you're not confident enough? Why do you believe that you don't have enough resources or money? Or why do you have a scarcity mindset? Why do you have pain in your physical body? Why do you have continuous, reoccurring depression? Why do you have anxiety? What's the shit that went into your body, your mind, and your being that created that environment inside of you? And to me, you can't just skip. You can't just be like, yeah, I just need to, I don't know, have more money or have more time, or, create a habit of like sitting and writing or whatever. While of course I think that those things are helpful, and I mean those obviously you will get to that spot where yeah, you have to have the discipline in order to do the sitting and doing of things, but I personally think that until you go deep and find out why and heal that and come to peace with that and to make space for something else, that it's stuck inside of the body and will continue to repeat itself over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And that's what it does in all of us.
It's kind of like what you were talking about earlier with mindset.
Mm-hmm. And it's neural pathways. It's programming. It's patterning. We can't escape them. Like, they honestly will rule the human, and they do. But it's the inner work. It's like the deep work that we do inside that ultimately will help us to shift those neural pathways and to transcend them, and then get to that spot where we're like, okay, I have more of a clean slate. I have more of I have more space now. I have more capacity now to shift my mindset and to do those things now, because I'm not continuously playing in that space of the achy soup.
What do you think is more impactful, our mindset or our actions?
I think that your mindset has to be there. Otherwise, you probably aren't going to have, you might not even have any action if you don't have a mindset that is in a space that is conducive to growth. Like for me personally, when I was stuck in patterns of depression and apathy, there wasn't anything that could motivate me or inspire me to action. And on the flip side, it was a double-edged sword, because then my lack of action based on what I was feeling inside of my body meant then I felt like a shit. Like I felt guilty for not being able to take action. Or I would also say, well, you should be feeling different. You should be able to think different, feel different. You shouldn't be in this state of mind. So mindset has to be there. You could also be taking action, but it's also like kind of your heart's not in it. Like, you don't have passion for what you're doing. You're doing it kind of mechanically, or because you feel like you have to, not because you like want to, or you're driven to, or you're inspired to.
You're saying that doing the action possibly requires the mindset in the first place.
I think that you can do action, like I said. I mean, you can do action. Like I said, sometimes people can't do action even, like, based on what mindset they're in. If you're depressed, if you're overcome with so much negative self-talk that you are bogged down by that you cannot take action.
Mm-hmm.
No doors are opening for you. And then the other flip side, the other piece of that is that, okay, well, let's say that you are able to do action, but your mindset is not in a space that maybe is feeling as good as it could. You are taking action, but you aren't necessarily going to be getting the same results. You're not going to be getting the results that are like, oh my God, this feels amazing. Or, oh my God, this is so spot on. It's kind of more of like, for me, like sometimes in a different space, like, okay, I was able to do action, but I was still feeling like shit in my head. So maybe I was resenting the action. Or felt fucking annoyed that I had to do the action. And then feeling shitty about feeling the way I was feeling. I shouldn't be feeling this way. This should be okay. I should be fine doing this thing that I need to do. It's also like, you're not, like, it's not fun. It's not enjoyable. You know, it's a fucking resentful thing. So yeah, like getting in the mindset space is definitely, I would say, for sure, spot on.
Okay. There's this kind of question that goes around the community of people that kind of do this kind of thing. And the question is, can strong belief without action affect the world that we share?
I do believe that. I do believe that strong belief, coming back to what I was speaking about vibrationally,
Without action? That's the important part. Like, strong
no
belief
action.
without action, can that affect the world that we share, the physical world?
I think there always has to be action too. I mean, ultimately, I think that we can go a long way with mindset, like, but I think that is a vehicle that is actually gonna it's gonna propel us further. But mindset and action together are really like lock and key.
Okay. One requires the other?
No. Like I said about action, you can have action, but it can be not inspired action. And that is not necessarily the type of action that is going to move the planet in the direction that we need it to be moving in.
Can uninspired action affect the external world that we share?
Yeah, it can affect it. And I think that it has affected it. And I mean, not to say that, you know, what we have going on isn't necessarily inspired. I'm going to get cold in a minute.
Yeah, I have to get going here pretty soon too.
Yeah, all of a sudden the sun is now leaving us. And I can feel it immediately. So,
this has been awesome.
yeah.
I'm so glad that that you sat down.
Yeah. Me too. Like I said, I literally saw you and I'm like, shit, that must be my guy.
That's
That must be him. There he is. He's over there. I mean, remember I came, I was like, oh, there you are.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, you're like, cool, dude. Sit down.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Cool.
Yeah, so cool. So,
Any last thoughts that you want to share? Any last questions you have for me?
Last questions. It's just like a wrap-up kind of thing.
I'm out here pretty often.
Yeah.
I'm up at the Capitol,
Cool.
up and down Percival Landing, up and down the Chehalis Western Trail,
Nice.
and some of the parks and stuff. So if you see me again,
Yeah.
and you want to explore something else,
Sure.
we don't have to do it the same way that we did it this time, like where you write it down.
Okay.
That's just kind of an experiment that I've been
Sure.
trying to work on.
Yeah.
Like, how much does it matter if I know what the conclusion is?
Yeah.
Can I still have a productive exploration of their epistemology without knowing what the conclusion
I
is?
think it kind of makes it like non-biased, you know, because you don't know.
Right.
And so it means that your head is not, you know, going anywhere that's attached to anything that you might have with that subject.
Yeah.
And we do it, I mean, we do that not even consciously, you know what I mean? Because we have our own filters and all of that stuff and things that we relate to, and you're like, oh, this girl wants to talk about healing in the planet, and my thing about that is this or that, you know, you have a reference point. So I think the way you're doing it, if you want to be non-biased, you probably are going at it the right way.
Yeah, I want to take my bias out of it as much as possible. And not only that, but you know that I don't know what it is. And so the likelihood.
I left my water. Sorry, Bren.
Oh, it's
here
right
it
here.
is. I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
You knowing that I don't know it either
Yeah,
can maybe help too, right?
I agree. It kind of felt like cool. It's going to be like the big reveal
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
You know, I did like that.
And the cool thing about it too is that you could reveal it or not reveal it. You exploring how you got there and what supports it.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
It is very important. It is very, very important. I bet you everybody wants to hear it at the end, though. I mean, by the time they sit through that interview, they're like, that fucker... Oh. They better tell me what the hell they were thinking about, you know, in their mind.
There are other interviews I've done like this that you might be interested in.
Oh, yeah.
On my channel.
I have a feeling so.
Did you find it already?
I took a photo of it.
Okay, cool.
So I'm hoping that, yeah, but I should make sure that I can connect to it. All right, let me see. My phone is so full of, look at this caterpillar I took a video of today. He's like booking it, right?
That was today?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can cover quite a bit of ground.
I mean, he was really fucking going for it. He's like, yeah, bitches. Oh, I forget this is still on. That's so funny. Oh, well, it was a totally unfiltered situation. Okay, so, let's see. I took a picture of your sign, and then I might have taken a screenshot. It's called Critical Thinking Exercise.
That's like the feature video. It looks like you found the.
This is you.
Yep.
Sound epistemology.
Yep.
Epistemology. That's
Yeah.
very cool. And it looks like you are a newish channel. And you're going for it. I'm so proud of you. You should be fucking proud of yourself, dude. I mean, seriously, that takes some, you know... I want to say what it takes, but it does. Can we do a selfie?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, heck yeah, we can after that, right?
It's really coming down. Do you have something in mind?
Cute.
Awesome.
Very cute. All right.
That was great.
It was fun. Thank you.
Thank
For
you.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me in.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
That was very cool. And then are you, like, is there a way to connect with you? Just, like, do people connect with one another on the YouTube channel?
You
or-
can, if you subscribe, then you'll be able to see other ones, and depending on how you set it up,
Yeah.
you can get notified whenever I put new stuff on.
Uh-huh.
Another thing you can do is, if you want to take a picture of this has my email address.
Cool. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, and you can email me if you want to set up another chat, or
Cool.
or if you want to send me a message.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, I will at least send you a message too, like kind of in the next day or two, so that way you have my contact information too.
Cool.
Yeah, and if something came to you, because this is like one of those sessions too where like we unpacked, a good bit.
Yeah.
And so you might have.
I want to talk again.
Yeah, well, let's do it then. I think that sounds fun. I think it sounds very cool. I can't wait to tell my husband that, our chit chat about YouTube really like manifested in such a cool way. I'm like, yo, go find me on my friend's YouTube channel. I have my own interview.
And just so you know, I've got a pretty good backlog. I've been trying to get as many interviews while the weather's nice.
Yeah, for sure.
So that I'll have plenty to edit during the rainy season.
Makes good sense to me.
And so it's possible that this one may not go up until like
Months.
next year.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm glad to know that I will be in your queue.
cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
Aleesha,
Yes,
that was
sir.
great.
It was. It was really fun.
Thanks again.
You're welcome.
We'll see you around.
You will. Those guys want to say hi to me, but I have to go get my sweater. So I'll probably say hi first. Or no, I'll tell them and then I'll get my sweater.
Well, enjoy the rest of the day.
I will. You too.
Enjoy the sunset.
I'm so glad the sun just continues to bless us. But man, I know we need rain desperately.
It's coming.
It is. I'm
Not
gonna
this weekend, but next weekend, I think.
Really? I know I should be car camping this weekend, and I'm not. But that's okay. Again, I'm going with my flow. Whatever is in my path right now is for me. And I also, I'm taking action. Inspired action. Okay, for me. All right, what are you going to do?
I'm going to pack up and take off.
Go have a food, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready too. I'm hungry. Smells good. Something smells delicious.
Well, there's taco trucks over there that, depending on how the wind blows,
Yeah. It
can
probably
make you
smells
really hungry.
delicious, but it probably is like a gut buster, huh?
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, they're addictive. They're really good, though.
Good is good. I like good.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you.
Sounds good. See you around.
Bye.